Off Cape Lookout on the coast of North Carolina is a sandbar, often the size of 3 city blocks. It's known as Shark Island. Void of vegetation, it spreads and shrinks with the seasons, and it's a destination for shell seekers and fishermen who have a boat to reach its gentle sloping shores. Not so long ago, with 2 other couples, Francis and I were returning from Shark Island to the mainland behind the Cape when, as in today's gospel, a great windstorm arose. The 6 of us have fished together for more than 3 decades up and down the North Carolina coast. At the helm of the 23-foot center console runabout was the youngest of us, a middle-aged man whom I trust more than anybody I know to run a boat. As we followed the shoreline southwest to reach and round the Cape, the easterly swells grew as high as the console and tried to push us on the beach only 100 yards away. The wind howled and the spray flew and the water rose up to the gunnels. My old friend managed the wheel to keep us on top of the swells so that we were not swamped from the windward side, but he ran the engine hard in the furrows between the swells to get us home. Over and over, gun the engine in the furrows, ease over the swells. And what should have been a 15-minute crossing was more than an hour in duration. No one was asleep on the cushion in the stern. We were all holding on to whatever felt solid. In a sense, holding on for really the first time in my life in a boat, dear life. I was wondering how I would both grab Francis's hand and jump free if the boat were to cartwheel in the curl of a wave. Rounding the Cape and having the wind now behind us brought sighs of relief and silence then and that night in the cottage. We got into this because Shark Island is a dramatic destination that usually holds fish. But what explains Jesus' impulsive departure from a listening crowd with, "Let us go across to the other side"? Fishermen don't leave biting fish. And presumably preachers don't leave attentive congregations. Why does he go? Well, week before last, we were fortunate enough to be on Hatteras Island with children and grandchildren. As you know, little kids love the beach, the toys, the sandcastles, and for some of them, the ocean. Our little ones, ages 7 to 2, had a variety of responses. But every day, the oldest, the 7-year-old, pleaded, "Take me into the deep waves. Take me into the deep waves." She wanted a more intense experience, confident of the strong arms of parent or grandparent who would embrace her. You probably know the surf on the Outer Banks is rough. The rip currents can be fatal. And yet, the bracing, chill, salt water, when you go into it, makes your whole body tingle. You have already figured out that this gospel's principal claim is that the person of Jesus is also the God of creation, who, in the reading from Job this morning, laid out the foundations of the earth and said to the bursting sea, "Here shall your proud waves be stopped." Jesus, throughout his brief life, said to his friends more than once, some version of, "Why are you afraid? Have you still no faith?" And he says the same to us. American culture at the moment has an ominous turbulence, an undertow of deep discontent, and a lack of coherence, a lack of boundaries that casts us adrift and I think tests our self-confidence. Added to that, do our middle-age responsibilities and then our aging somehow have us backing away from the water back onto the beach? Are we waiting timidly for life to seek us out rather than seizing what the next day has to offer? You remember T.S. Eliot's J. Alfred Prufrock's song, "Shall I part my hair behind? Do I dare to eat a peach? I shall wear white flannel trousers and walk upon the beach. I have heard the mermaids singing each to each. I do not think that they will sing to me." Years ago at the retirement home in the town where I served, I showed up for the regular Wednesday 2 o'clock Eucharist. And I said to the dozen regulars after this particular service, "You're so faithful on Wednesday afternoons. I wish my Sunday morning crowd were half so conscientious. Most of you never miss." And one tall, genial man from Rocky Mount, twice widowed and newly married in his mid-80s, looked around and said, "Bill, of course we're paying attention. We're studying for the final exam." At a certain age, the final exam does loom larger. I guess few of us really dwell on it. Yet I ask myself if I'm becoming timid about life because nobody's expectations of an older guy are very high. You become somewhat invisible to others as you grow older. You become invisible. Those of you who are older know that. You're really already sort of not there. On the other hand, a week with our daughters reminded us how intensely they are living, responsibilities for work and children absorbing every waking moment. Husbands helping out, of course, but driven to achieve success in their own professions. Is some inner discovery, some calm after the storm possible for all of them? Does Shark Island still beckon? Am I still willing to go across to the other side? Is aging an excuse to avoid the journey? Does God still want me to know more about Him and about myself? The swells and the shallows beckon, and I wonder daily which way to turn. Amen.